Do you consider yourself to be a logical person? I hope you do. We all have ideas and facts and rules of engagement, if you will, that I hope that can guide us. And it's good for you to have a well-conceived notion about what you consider a right and appropriate life to be. Now, when you're engaging with the narcissist, they don't like for you to think logically. Actually, when you look at it, we say that narcissists have their own alternate reality, and what we mean is they live in illogic. And so their reality is not reality at all. It's just whatever they make up as they go along. And there's one ultimate illogical thought that they have that they want you to buy into. And so I'm going to expose it to you, and I want you to think through the ramifications greatly. A narcissist's ultimate illogic is you need to filter your life through me. Now let's just pause right there. That's a large thought that is so false and so untrue, and it's built upon so many other premises that they honestly believe into. Let's break that down and see exactly what they mean when they use the illogic that says you need to filter your thoughts through me. Now, first and foremost, of course, that premise is built upon the presumption that they're supposed to be in control. Now, again, let's pause on that one. How many problems in our life, and when I say our collective humanity, arise from human beings trying to control one another? Whether we're talking about governments controlling one another, or one race controlling another, or one religious group controlling another, or family members controlling each other and dictating how things have to be. It's illogical to think that somebody needs to go ahead and appoint themselves as the one that's going to be the ultimate authority and the ultimate controller, and everybody else is supposed to bow down to that. That's not logical. And yet they believe that, and then they put their ultimate illogic onto you that says you have to filter your life through someone that thinks that way. No. Or in addition, they honestly believe that they are superior. Well, that means that you're inferior. That's another illogic that they put onto you, and that feeds into that ultimate illogic that says you've got to filter your life through me. You're inferior to me. In addition, we can say that much of their attitude toward you can be described with one characteristic, and that is disdain. Now, what's the logic of saying I'm supposed to filter my life through someone that holds me in disdain? That makes no sense. Or in addition, these are people who are more than willing to use you and manipulate you and exploit you. And then they use that ultimate illogic that says, now, that being the case, you still need to filter yourself through one who thinks that way toward you. In addition, they're highly critical, and they can play loose with facts and truths, which means they lie a lot as well. And then they come back and say, now, knowing that I'm not very good with truth and facts, and I'm very easily critical, you need to filter your life through me. Do you see? There's no logic to that, and yet they honestly believe that. On top of that, as part of narcissism, they have little or no empathy. And so we're going to break that down and say, so in other words, that narcissist is saying to you, I have zero need to know you from the inside out. I don't want to understand you. Now, that having been said, why don't you filter your life through who I am? I'm that right person for you. It's like, I don't think that's a good match. That doesn't make good sense. Now, these narcissists have plenty of their own flaws. They make mistakes, and sometimes they have wrongs that are glaringly obvious. And so what they do is they'll take those flaws and mistakes and wrongs, and they blame you, and then they come up with all this revisionist history as to why the mistakes they make really aren't as bad of mistakes as possible. And then they have the audacity to turn around and say, now, knowing that I think that way, and that's how I do life, I'd like for you to filter your life through me. That makes sense, doesn't it? No. Or in addition, these are individuals who are quite willing to trash talk you behind your back. If they can elevate themselves by putting you down, and you don't need to know as far as they're concerned, And then they turn around and say, now, I am, of course, still the person that you need to filter your life through. This is me, the trash talker. Filter your life through me. It makes no sense. That's the ultimate illogic. They have an attitude of entitlement. Their needs make sense, but yours don't. But even though I don't care about your needs or your entitlements, my matter, filter your life through me. Ultimately, that seems to be a good way to do it. No, that's illogical. They demand loyalty from you when in fact they give little back toward you. They have easy anger toward you when you don't do things the way they want. They can be explosive, or they can go into the passive aggressive kind of mode. And then they come back and still say, now, me being that kind of a person, I'm the one you need to filter life through. It's who I am. I'm angry. And filter your life through me. When you look at that, there truly is an out of touch with reality way of thinking that these people operate with. They make no sense. Now, it's interesting to figure out how you, in your reverse reactions to those individuals, can use a certain illogic. And that is, sometimes you take it upon yourself to try to convince them of how wrong they are and how you have the better way of thinking. And before you know it, you get caught into the counterflow and you're kind of thinking, well, maybe you ought to filter your thoughts through me. No, all that means is we've got a codependent dance going on, and it's all about blurred boundaries. You see, when a narcissist is a young person and they're trying to figure out life, they weren't really allowed or encouraged to have their own separate boundaries. By the way, boundaries implies that you get to define who you are. You get to define what makes sense to you and what your preferences are and what your priorities and directions are going to be. And then the other person also gets to do the same, and we have a mutual respect for that. That's what it means when we say having boundaries. But the narcissist growing up is like, no, I guess I have to filter my life through these authority figures or these people that would offer shame or these individuals who might not accept me if they knew certain things about me. And so they don't have a real good sense of boundaries. And they bring that poor sense of boundaries into their adult years. And rather than thinking, I didn't like it when people didn't respect me, instead of thinking that way, it's like, nah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do to you what I don't want anyone to do to me. Again, that's their ultimate illogic. They don't want you to think for yourself because you need to filter your thoughts through me. Me, the person that has a very poor understanding of boundaries. That makes no good sense. So what if we were to suspend this filter mentality? I don't have to filter everything I think, say, and do through that person, nor do I require them to filter their ways of thinking through me. Now, this doesn't mean that we won't have coordination. I think coordination's good. And this doesn't mean that we won't take others' needs into account, or we won't show deference or courtesy when it's required, or that we won't have sacrificial moments at times, because those things can be good too. But that's not the same as having to filter one's way of life through another person. Instead, I want to see if we can anchor down on certain primary notions about who you are and what you can believe. And that is, first and foremost, I want to follow my own common sense. That's logical. That makes good sense. And it's not really my job to keep the narcissist satisfied. In addition to that, it doesn't make sense for me to lose my entire self in order to prop up an illogical individual. And if the narcissist becomes angry at me, then that's just a commentary about their lack of emotional maturity. That's not my problem that I have to solve. No one needs to live inside another person's trap. I don't want to live illogically like that. And if they want to impose their ultimate illogic upon me, I'm not biting. I'm not going to go in there. Now, that being the case, I'm hoping that you can take I'm going to call it a four-pronged way of responding to these individuals when they try to put their ultimate illogic onto you, saying you have to filter your life through me. The first thing that we're going to say when they come at you with that kind of thinking is, I want you to pause. take some of the emotion out of the equation, because many times when they try to impose their illogic onto you, you get angry and tense and defensive and all like that. Take a deep breath and see if you can remove some of the inclination to just run with the mood of the moment. That's not going to help you. Second, instead, I want you to ask yourself the question, what makes sense to me right now? And listen to your own inner voice. And I'm hoping that you can learn how to take counsel from within yourself. And then that's going to lead to a third pronged approach, and that is act upon your own well-conceived logic. By the way, sometimes you can have some moments where you rehearse in advance what you know to be some of the common scenarios where that narcissist is going to come at you with their illogic. And so you can learn how to pause, think about what makes sense to you in the moment, and then act upon it. And you can rehearse in advance what that's going to look like. And then the fourth thought that I want you to think about is, when the narcissist pushes back with that ultimate illogic, saying still, but you still need to filter your thoughts through me, I'm hoping you can then cling to one major sense of resolve that says, listening to my own inner voice is a habit that I'm getting used to. I'm going to continue moving forward. The narcissist is not going to like that, and yet when you look at the gross illogic that's beneath so much of their approach toward you, it makes no sense to say, yeah, I'll keep doing that. No, I want to have that sense that says, I understand what boundaries is, and boundaries means I get to decide who I'm going to be, just as you can decide who you're going to be. And if you want to be illogical, that's on you. I'm going to use my own good logic, and I'm going to allow my actions and my decisions and priorities to reflect that good and reasonable kind of thinking. Would you be willing to do that? Now, I do hope that you get benefit from videos such as this. And if you've not already done so, I would encourage you to go beneath and hit that subscribe button. One of the things that I've done throughout my entire career is I've always wanted to know who I could refer people to when they need some counseling. And in this day and age, online counseling is something that's very popular, and people want to go there. And so we vetted a trusted sponsor that we can refer to. And below here, we have a link to a group that can assist you if you're looking for online counseling. And if you want to get some counseling, I know these kind of things can stir up thoughts, I would encourage you to do so. And so we have a link that can help you in that regard. We also have links to my books, my online video workshops, and we also have our other websites that I would encourage you to look at, survivingnarcissism.tv, and we have some pretty good stuff that's on there that, and we're building on that, and then my drlescarter.com. I'm hoping that you can be the kind of person that says, I want to be that logical person, and when the narcissist comes at me with all that illogic, I want to be the kind of person that says, common sense and decency, and listening to that inner voice that says, I know what my boundaries are, I know how I define myself. That's going to be the thing that you filter yourself through. And in doing so, I'm hoping that you can find a lifestyle of steadiness, decency, and responsibility. And in the meantime, I hope that it can lead you to your place of true peace.